Should we do an intro? I never do an intro. Here's an intro. I often use Fuji cameras for street type photography and the like, but I've found myself falling between kind of two stools when it comes to focal length. A focal length I often use, and in fact a piece of kit I often use, is the XE1 or the XE2 with the TT Artisan 27mm, which is around about, you know, equivalent 40mm in full frame terms. Sometimes I find that a bit on the restrictive side, and my other Fuji lens, a wider Fuji lens than that, is my 16mm, which I often find is a bit too wide. So I have had the 18mm, didn't really get on with it very well. I'm not buying that again. So I'm often kind of looking for something that's between those focal lengths, something that's around a 35mm equivalent. So taking a look around at what was available, I thought there's the Viltrox 23mm, and Fuji have a 23mm as well. Both of those lenses are quite big, so when you're used to using something that's kind of that sort of size, didn't really want a big, a big thing at all, and that means what I've ended up doing is picking up one of these. And partly this decision was based on focal length, because the X100 series have 23mm, 35mm equivalent lens. Partly it's based on price, because what I've plumped for here is the X100S. So with the X-Trans 2 sensor, this gives me a very, very kind of, well, it should be pretty much identical output to this XE2. And I think I picked this up for a good price. I paid £380 for it, and it's in excellent condition. I think it's got 11,000 actuations or something on the shutter. The reason I went for the X100S, apart from price, is that obviously it's a format I'm very familiar with, the layout, the menus, everything pretty much very, very similar to the XE1 and XE2. And I wanted to try out an X100. If I was going to try out an X100, I wanted one with an X-Trans sensor, not the original X100, I think, which had a Bayer sensor rather than an X-Trans sensor, I think. So how am I getting along with this? So far so good. I am enjoying it. It's nice. It is. I always find it liberating to pick up a camera that's got a fixed lens, and whilst interchangeable lenses is great, I find it means I'm always stressing about what kit I've got with me. Have I got the right lenses with me? And I always end up carrying too many lenses. Whereas if you take this and only this, then this is what you've got. So from from kind of a decisions already made for you aspect, that I like, and you just have to make the most of what you've got with it, which is good. It's a bit of a challenge, I guess, in some respects. So that's good. As I said, the sensor is one that I'm familiar with and I love the output from, so that's good. Controls, etc., all good. There are a few things just to cover off a couple of the negative points I've found with this camera, one thing that I probably wasn't expecting, and I could have done a bit more research, I suppose, and found out, but I wasn't really expecting the fact that on XE1 and XE2, you can probably see written on the bottom there, I've got all of my custom film recipes, and there are 7 available in the XE1 and XE2, and in the X100 there's only 3 available, which is a bit limiting. I think that's a bit limiting. So all the film simulations that come with the camera standard are all there. So there's a load of those, you know, Provia and Astia and Velvia and all that sort of stuff. They're all there. Classic Chrome, you can either do a recipe. I've got a recipe for it, my number 2 recipe on here, or you can do it in post through Silky Pics. You can edit the raw data file to make it think it's something other than an X100 image. So that's a bit of a thing, only having 3 positions for custom recipes. Another thing that's a bit limiting is the fact that this has really only got one programmable function button, and it's just the little one at the front there. So one function button is not very much, and there is no dedicated ISO button. Now, I would have liked a button for ISO. Handily, it's right near the top of the menus, so it's easy to dip into the menu to pick it up, or you can use the quick menu on the back to get to it. But I would have liked to have had just a second customizable function button. So that's a bit of a limit as well. Other than that, it's nice to have the aperture ring on the lens. Obviously, I love an aperture ring. This lens does open up to f2, and you do see quite a lot of reports of people saying that at f2 it's not brilliant. But to be honest, you know, a lot of lenses are not at their best when they're fully open. And having done a little bit of experimentation, just generally, you know, shooting with this camera, I think certainly at everything other than f2, it's really good. So stop it down a little bit and it's great. I think maybe f2, you know, it's usable as long as your image is strong, so that you're not looking for the nitpicky things in the image. So, you know, that's livable with, I think. I guess that is another one of the cons. One thing that is a big pro that I really like about this camera is, if I switch it on, here's the shutter sound. Probably heard the focus there before the shutter, but goodness me, that's quiet. So that I mean, it's a leaf shutter. It's beautifully quiet. Very, you know, it is so quiet. Obviously, the focus made a little bit of noise there, but wow, that sure is quiet, which I like. Of course, this does have something. This does have, just mentioning in passing, I think it's probably pretty obvious, is the optical viewfinder, and I am using the optical viewfinder. Now, I sold an X Pro one because I did not get on with the optical viewfinder in that. I think partly that was a much bigger camera. So I'm just seeing how it goes with the optical viewfinder. I'm not saying that I'm in love with it, but it's different, so I'm giving it a try. Or it's different from me anyway, so I'm giving it a try. And that seems to be okay so far. I think one of the good things, another good thing about these cameras is, I mean, I leave it on auto white balance and I shoot it kind of in aperture priority mode, and it's pretty reliable, you know. So for general shooting, I don't feel as though I'm missing a lot with the electronic viewfinder. Obviously, it's easy to switch backwards and forwards on this little lever anyway, if you want to. But I don't feel as I'm missing out most of the time. So yeah, that's good as well. And if you want it, I can switch it over, so that's okay. What else to say? Obviously, I've been out and about trying it out a little bit. I've even tried the panorama function, which I don't usually use on any cameras, but I thought I'd give it a try. I'll try and get through a few of these different functions. Also, I've got this lens hood on here. This camera has a strange old thing. It's got a strange arrangement whereby you have to unscrew a little trim accessory, and then you can screw in this adaptery thing, and then you can screw filters into that. It's a bit long-winded and arduous, but what it does mean is that I can try out my GW3 wide-angle Ricoh thing to turn this into a 28mm should I require it. Fuji do their own thing, a WCL100 as a wide-angle thing, and they also do a tele converter which takes it up to kind of 50mm equivalent, and that's the TCL100. So I might give those a try at some point, or I might not, we'll see. But yeah, so far so good, really enjoying it. And hopefully you've enjoyed one or two of the images that I've put up here as we've gone through. We'll see how we get on. My hands are almost too cold to click my fingers now. It's freezing out here. I've come out to do a quick test today of the newly acquired X100S. I have to say, the weather is pretty spectacular. Ooh, oh, some sun, my word, we've got some sun. I'm probably going to have to go quick now and take some pictures. The sky is dramatic, and it does look as if I may get a soaking before I get home, so I'm going to get a move on. Also trying out the Ricoh GW3 wide extender just to see how that goes on the X100, because there is a wide adapter for the X100, but I'm not going to buy it if I've already got something that works. So yeah, let's get on and get this done, because it's cold.